You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. Be sure to smash that like button. I want to start by asking what has gone so terribly wrong for the Aggies this year.
A lot, Matty. I seem to think about this or pontificate about it a lot in my own mind, and try to, with all the different colleges that are in Houston, got to cover them all. And and as a guy who's in school for two more, at least with A&M, get my master's in about 2 weeks, I follow them close. I graduate in another 2 weeks. Not a pat on the back, but
that's awesome.
I'm proud
man.
of it. So
dude.
I get my master's with about a 3.95, my man. In about 2 weeks. And my dumb ass is sitting here thinking, am I going to go to law school after this? And don't ask me any reason why. But idiot or Dr. Salisbury's next. I don't know, man. So I have all my buddies have to call me that. My son, and my affinity for LSU, and my son is an A&M grad. So I watched the program closely and pretty. I like to think pretty dialed in with what's going on there. It comes down to this. I try not to be overly critical of kids or coaches in college, but that's the way it is with name, image, and likeness. It's gotten different. We almost treat them like pros now. But this football program, one is I honestly, I know that I'll get an argument from this. I think Jimbo Fisher's plate's too full. I do. I think Jimbo Fisher needs to decide he wants to be a head coach. And I know you say, well, it happens at other programs. It does. But I'm not sure. I think it takes a unique person to especially in college. Here's what you got to do as a head coach. You got to be a great recruiter, which he obviously is. And name, image, and likeness helps all of them. They got money. You got to be a play caller, which you don't have to be. That's what he is. Now you got to be a head coach. So you got to be a guy who understands all the tasks at the university. You got to shake hands and kiss babies, and then you got to lead men, and these young men, and then you got to recruit the guys you've already recruited. And then on Saturday, because I'm just telling you, the play calling and the lack of offense reflects his schedule. I'm just telling you, there's not enough hours. Jack Del Rio sat in my office about a little over a year ago, and he said, as assistant coaches, you got about 6 to 8 hours a day as a position coach to yourself. Maybe is what he said, sitting right face to face. And then he said, as a coordinator, you got about 2 to 4 hours, if you're lucky, a day to yourself. He goes, as a head coach, you need 2 more hours. Now, this is talking about the NFL. Now, I want you to go through all the things I just named, and then you got to manage the personnel, all these recruits to keep them happy that are there, and then call plays, which is tough enough, and then be the head coach. That's one. I think his plate's way too full for a guy at this stage of his career, should trust in his coaching staff enough to delegate and allow some of these guys to call plays. I understand if you're 25 or 35 and you're calling plays, getting into it, but there comes a point in time, unless you're a special cat. Now, people say, what about Leach? Well, Mike hasn't won a national title. I know Mike well, and you and I have talked about it. Mm-hmm. But Mike, he got a play sheet of about to fit in the palm of your hand, and Mike's not a shake hands and kiss babies guy. Mike doesn't want to do that, even though but you don't see him doing a lot of that. He's glad handing. Jimbo is a glad hander, and he's got to do it at A&M. They require it even more when you got him. So I know people don't talk about it. I'm just telling you, at least the optics tell me. 2 is they have underachieved. They've started 3 quarterbacks in about 6 different ways this year. The best one's the freshman from Bridgeland, who's playing now, Connor Wegman, or Wegman, I guess is how it's pronounced. So there's that. And so the veterans and the young guys, there's been injuries, I get it, but everybody has them. And they've underachieved dearly. And so with that in mind, he's got to decide this offseason, do I trust my staff? Am I good enough? And, I think Jimbo is a rabbit-eared guy at times, too. He hears and reads everything. We saw the stuff with Nick Saban. So, I think there's a lot more layers to it, and I know we don't have enough time to do it, but I think they're underachieving. I think right now they're the most overrated program, not program this season. This is the most overrated and underachieving program in the country for the money they pay him, the expectations, his record's just like Kevin Sumlin, and I like Jimbo. And then you'll get the excuses. Well, they're playing offensive linemen that are young, and 18 and 19-year-olds impact college football every week. Every year they're as good of players as we have. That's why those guys leave after 3 years on campus and are the first picks of the draft because they're good. So I hear all the excuses, but I don't see them excel other than in the COVID year. And I get it, and they're good. But and the truth is, they've had lack of production from the quarterback position and from that offense. Their offense isn't very good. And if LSU plays normal, they're going to beat them. But you got to be careful because where it's at. But I think there's a lot wrong. Recruiting's involved. Guys are going to leave, I'm telling you. So I think Jimbo's next move, if he wants to try and be successful, is start delegating some authority and trusting your staff to do their job. If not, find somebody else.
Speaking of the LSU game, Sean, on Saturday, which is obviously the meaty, and there's a ton on the line for LSU, what is the scenario? Is there a matchup where A&M could give LSU trouble?
First off, the matchup is if you're A&M, there's got to be a little pride. I was talking to somebody earlier today, Maddie, about this, thinking, okay, you're A&M. Going into I had a guy calling my show the other day who was a diehard A&M guy, regular on my show, and he said, we were going through breaking it down. I interrupted him, and when he had a pregnant pause, I said, what were you, because they were breaking down the excuses that we all make for A&M at times, and for any of our colleges and our schools. And I said, what was your expectation about A&M this year? Oh, playoff. Yet they expect a playoff, but then I get they're undermanned. They got a lot of young players and recruits. You got to give them time. How much time I got to give them? How much time I got to give them? I mean, I keep giving them time. LSU. Well, can't I make the same argument? Brian Kelly walks in. They got a chance at the playoff. So, and I know it sounds like I'm getting after A&M. I'm not. I'm just being fair because all the hype they got was the best recruiting class in the world. So I'll tell you how you can get them. Is if LSU, and we see it in the NFL every week, you try to guard against it, I guarantee Brian's going to guard against it. He's going to say, listen, put a wall between us and the SEC championship game because there's got to be some pride. What dangerous teams in football and in sports are teams that, well, they got nothing to lose. Cut it loose. If you're transferring, cut it loose. If you're going to stick around, cut it loose. If you're trying to impress your coach, because coaches want to see who's quitting on them late in the year. Well, if you're Jimbo and you're calling plays, what do you got to lose other than to just let it rip? Those are dangerous teams because if you're not afraid to lose, you can do some things. And if you're LSU and you kind of tread lightly, you're going into Kyle Field last week. The UMass hung around in their building. It was rainy. Nobody was there. They went in and out. Everybody was laughing at them. People across the country are laughing at them. We all got a little pride as people and as athletes. The last thing you want is the day after Thanksgiving when you're turkey settling is to watch LSU waltz in there and beat you 38-10. LSU's capable of it. So the way is if LSU gets sloppy on offense and allows a couple home runs on defense, meaning the big play, the chunk play, where all of a sudden you're up 10-3 and they go boom, boom with two big 70-yard runs and a throw, and now you're chasing. And it's like, well, wait a second. And that's Kyle Field because it's going to be packed. It's LSU, and there's a lot for them to play for to ruin LSU because this game doesn't just have effect on this one. This one eliminates LSU, as you know. I'm not telling anybody anything they don't know. And A&M would love nothing more than to do that. Dangerous teams that have got nothing to lose other than another game become a real problem. So you got to be – this is a dangerous game that LSU should win, but A&M got something to play for, and that's to either keep recruits or show recruits that they haven't quit.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.